to remove tariffs, we will do that as well. And that's what we will pursue in our international trade negotiations. This I'm not going to go through. This is just telling us the institutional mechanism. And then this next section is dealing with how do we then approach different regional and different multilateral negotiations. I said this is what we're looking for. We're looking to increase value-added exports. We're looking to preserve policy space. And now what are we going to be focusing on? Well, first of all, we are part of a region of other developing countries. In particular, we are members of a customs union with 4 other countries, which is Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, and Swaziland, which is called the Southern African Customs Union. We are also members of the Southern African Development Community, which is 14 countries. It goes from the Congo into Tanzania and all the other countries southward. We're also members of the African Union. We are committed to pursuing an integration agenda within those groupings and within the continent as a whole. But our approach is that we think that promoting integration in developing regions requires that we address in a cooperative way real economy constraints to increasing trade and not just pursue an agenda which is narrowly focused on moving to one or other regional integration arrangement, free trade areas, customs unions, economic unions and the like, but we need to focus on a more developmental approach. And so we are particularly focusing on what's called Spatial Development Initiatives, SDIs, which are transport corridor programs, but more than that, are intended to try to crowd in investments in productive activities. And there's a number of these programs which we think are quite integral and very fundamental to create the conditions for integration through trade arrangements to move further forward. So there's just the development of that. There's some details there which I won't go into about the customs union and also the SADC, how we are going to try to pursue our approaches to those. I think the points I've already made are there. Perhaps one thing which I didn't mention is at the bottom of this slide is that the next step that we're really involved in right now, we have a free trade area already within SADC, Southern African Development Community. We have a free trade area in existence already. That was launched in 2008. But the next step is that there is a process now of consolidating this across SADC, the common market of Eastern and Southern Africa, which is a group of countries going from Egypt to our neighbors Zimbabwe, and even Swaziland is a member of COMESA, and then the East African community, which is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. And what's the work that's involved there is that we are negotiating a free trade agreement across those 3, which will mean that we will have a free trade area literally from Cape to Cairo on the east coast of Africa with 700 million people in it. And you can see that the step that will follow that would be to extend that into the West African region with an arrangement with ECOWAS of economic community of West African states. On the European Union, we have a situation where we as South Africa, when we got our liberation in 1994, the European Union turned around and said to us that we are different from all the other members of the then Lome and later Cotonou agreements. And that they said that they wouldn't just bring us into the Cotonou or the Lome arrangements as other members were. And they said we had to negotiate with them a free trade agreement, which we've done. And it's called the Trade Development and Cooperation Agreement. This is, I think, the literature would describe it as a first generation or old generation free trade agreement. It's basically a trading goods agreement with very slight obligations either way on any other issues other than trading goods. I think that that's what we have in place. But what happened more recently, as you probably know, is that the European Union, having said that we needed a free trade agreement because we were different, then said that all the others also needed free trade agreements, and that those were within the framework of what is called economic partnership agreement negotiations. And they tried to negotiate these with different regions within the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. Unfortunately, what's happened is that the negotiating configurations, with very few exceptions, are not the same as any existing region integration arrangement. So we have in SADC, we have SADC countries, the 14 countries are in 5 separate negotiating configurations. And what's called the SADC EPA group is South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, Swaziland, plus Angola, and Mozambique. That's SADC, and all the other members of SADC are in some other configurations. Now, we've been involved in this thing for some considerable amount of time. And the difficulty which has been confronted is that this is no longer an old generation free trade agreement. It's no longer just about trading goods. And in fact, if it was just about trading goods, I think we would all agree long ago about this. This is also about a series of obligations, including things like prohibitions on export taxes, including things like the most favored nation clause, which says that if we negotiate a trade agreement with any other party that has more than 1% of world trade, and we give them on a line-by-line basis anything better than we give to the European Union, we must extend the same to the European Union. These are issues which are, and then also an idea that there should be a trade in services. There should be obligations in procurement, in competition law, and things like that. And not just that we should have competition law, but that our competition authority should be intervening on behalf of European companies against so-called domestic monopolies and things like that. All of those things have been particularly tough in the negotiations. And the long and the short of it is that some members of our Southern African Customs Union have initialed and later signed, and others, including ourselves, have not. And our negotiation remains stuck at this particular point, with probably half the members of the ACP as a whole having signed and others having not. Now, that's a negotiation which is continuing, a negotiation which frankly is blocked. This is an area which we want to focus on. This is our, actually, in terms of direction of trade, which is our major and fundamental focus at this moment in time. And that is the opportunities for South-South trade. We see that there is, as I already mentioned, I think it was Standard Bank did a study. Yes, Standard Bank did a study on the BRICS, and it said there was a tectonic shift that was taking place in the world economy with developing countries and larger developing countries at the forefront of this. And there's some of the figures. The share of international trade is growing. It was about 37% in 2007. High rates of growth in trade in goods and services. All of that has just gone even further with the recession, where we find that the developed north remains very sluggish, while countries like China and India are moving ahead. We think that there's a South-South trade is poised to increase, and also trade in services is poised to increase. These are high-growth country economies with broader and diversified consumer needs, and we believe that there are possibilities now with developing countries to actually expand their South-South trade because of these shifts, but also to reach trade agreements of a different kind, because we are all actually developing countries. We all have a need for to promote and support industrial development, and so what we're looking to do is to build what we have already started with Mercosur SACU, which is, instead of a free trade agreement, let us start with preferential trade agreements, where we actually identify potential complementarities. We don't go frontally trying to compete against local production that we each have. We may have some capacity to compete against each other's local production, but let us start to identify complementarities on the basis of relative strengths and avoid, as we say, destructive power competition. Now, within the framework of the Mercosur and SACU, just to say that I don't know what the story is on the side of Mercosur. We as South Africa, our parliamentary committees have already approved the ratification of the agreement. It will be a mere formality for it to be ratified now by Parliament in a very short space of time. I will find out next week